month of March is National Reading Month, so we went around asking staff and teachers what their favorite book was. This is what they said.
So Miss Small, why is 1,000 Splendid Suns your favorite book?
This book is my favorite book because it's just a great story about culture. It takes place in Afghanistan, and just love and friendship, and it's actually primarily focused on two women and their friendship during the post-Taliban and Taliban rule. And I don't know, I just like all of those things, and it's really well written, so definitely. I mean, he's a great author, and he wrote The Kite Runner as well, so it's a really, overall, really awesome book. So. Has
it influenced you in any other ways of like reading other, learning about other cultures or any type of media that you like read or what movies you see?
You know, I've always been interested in other cultures, specifically Afghanistan and the Middle East, and since I've read this book, I've started to watch like documentaries and like read about it, and you know, specifically women, how women are treated so differently than they are in the United States. So I've really, you know, been interested in that and learning about that kind of thing, and yeah, overall it really did impact my life a lot. So
Mr. Rohrbach, why is The Giver your favorite book?
The Giver is my favorite book because it just really leaves your imagination open. It makes you want to just keep reading it. It just kept me going the whole time, and not only that, but I'm a very concrete person, so at the end when it's kind of vague and leaves it open to interpretation, it just kept my mind thinking about the book. So I think when a book does that, it accomplishes its purpose, and that's why I really enjoyed reading it.
Do you think it has influenced you in any way over the years, of like your mind thinking about the other books or other type of media that you've kind of experienced?
I think it has, because honestly it got me to read more. I was never the biggest reader in the world, but now it's just, you know, finding things that really interest you and different types of books that you find interesting. So I really think it's helped me get into reading more and making sure that, you know, I expand my knowledge base that way.
So Miss Head, why is The Hunger Games your favorite book?
I love The Hunger Games because when I read it, I read so much young adult fiction, and when I read it, I thought it would be like a sci-fi type of movie or book, and I'm just not into that kind of thing, but it just grabbed me. It was one of those you couldn't wait to go on to the next chapter and to the next chapter, and then you get into about chapter 3 or 4, and Katniss gets to the Capitol, and you're just thinking, I can't believe this is going on. I can't believe that people are reacting this way. These people are going in to die in this arena pretty much, and it's just, it really makes you think about life and what your purpose is. But it really makes you think about things and the way people react and the way you react to situations in life that affect people differently than it does you. So the whole book is just awesome. I think I love it too because you can just grab so many readers that usually they don't like to read, but they say, once I read Hunger Games, I love that book, I couldn't put it down. The movie comes out March 23rd and I can't wait.
Why is Catcher in the Rye your favorite book, Miss Faye?
I liked Catcher in the Rye from the beginning because I had heard bad things about it, that I wasn't supposed to read it, and so it made me want to read it, and then the things that I had heard about it ended up not being a big issue at all. For instance, people don't like Catcher in the Rye because it has cuss words in it, but all of the cuss words in there are things that Holden Caulfield, the main character, is trying to get rid of from the world. It's a coming of age story. It's a kid who is a teenager, and he's no longer that kid, but he's not yet a man, and so he's struggling with that in-between stage, and people miss the point of the things that he does, the lying, the being a hypocrite, the underage drinking. All of those things are things that teenagers do. It's a timeless thing for teenagers. It didn't matter if it was the 1950s or if it's, you know, 2011 or 2012. People are doing it doing those things as teenagers all the time, and so I've just come to love it for the things that people don't like about it, without having read the book, most of them. And I also have come to like it because of the whole theme, the theme of the book, that preserving childhood innocence. He wants to protect the children, and yet he's still kind of a child himself. And I think that it's something that as you get older, you start to see Holden Caulfield as this attempting to be a hero for little kids.
So how has it influenced you over the years? Like, and how has the book kind of like, you know, teach you in like when it comes to teaching and stuff? How is it like, you know, kind of thought process of a mind of a teenager growing up?
I think it helps me to connect to my students a little bit. It's influenced me with my teaching. I read it every year, even if I'm not teaching it. I tend to teach it every year, but if I don't teach it, then I read it on my own, because I find something new every time I read it. And so I've been teaching for 10 years, and I think I have taught this book for 8 or 9 of those 10 years. And so every year when I read it, I pick up on something, or I notice something a little bit different, or, oh my gosh, that ties into what my students are going through right now, things like that. So it affects not only how I interact with my students, but sometimes it teaches me a little bit about how I have changed since being a teenager.
Have the comments and notes you've made in the book kind of gone along with what you've taught your students with? Just kind of like the things that you've kind of realized over the times you've read it?
Yeah, I litter my pages with my comments, my annotations, and some of that's teaching that I'm pointing out, like rhetorical devices in the book and things like that. And then some of it is just my own interaction, like picking up that he seems very numb in this point in time in the book, and then I'm like, oh, I remember, you know, a certain kid who was kind of feeling that same way. And so going through and looking at my different ink colors of different years or different times that I've read it, I have kind of pointed out things that tie into my students each year.